Well, for more on this is Dr. Yunusa Tahir. He's an immunovirologist, also public health clinician and case management lead for the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, Gwagwalada. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Millicent. Nice.
All right, good to see you. Thank you. What is the underlying biology of long COVID?
Thank you very much. Long COVID is a phenomenon that is used to describe what we call a long-term effect of COVID-19, which is caused, of course, by a virus called SARS-CoV-2 in the human system. This simply means that an individual gets COVID, he gets treated, he gets cured, and then he goes about his normal duties, and suddenly he starts feeling about one or two, feelings about which are kind of like sequel to some of the resemblance of what the individual was feeling before he was maybe brought in or to the treatment center or being treated. So this is what we call long COVID. And people should understand that this is not lungs, L-U-N-G, lungs. It's called long COVID, L-O-N-G, long COVID. And that is some of those effects that most patients actually have when they actually have COVID. There is a study that is currently going on, of which we are championing, trying to ask a lot of these patients that have gone through this system to ask them about the common symptoms they do feel. And not far from what the data you just read out just now. But in terms of African COVID, fatigue is the most common symptoms that most patients usually complain of, even after they have been treated of COVID. Yes, and how long does it stay? It stays for some time longer than necessary. You will just
than when the person has recovered.
Some people that have been treated. Yes, yeah. And you find that even up to about 9 months, 10 months, the individual is still calling us, asking us, telling us that this is how he feels and the rest. So that simply means that we need to actually get our acts together and then make sure, just like the way we've led as an example, trying to make sure that we have the various contact of those patients that have been in the treatment center so that we can do what we call, or what we similarly call a follow-up mechanism on those individuals, because some of those symptoms like fatigue, like panic attacks, like individual just feeling and waking up and just remembering all those ordeal it feels about COVID before then. So these are some of those things that we do have.
Dr. Tahir, we need to go on a break, but when we return, we'll be asking you if you recognize it as a somewhat disability, which some people are saying it should be recognized as. We have more when we return. Welcome back. We've been speaking to Dr. Yunusa Tahir, an immunovirologist, on long COVID, long-lasting symptoms of COVID-19 even after recovery. Thank you for your patience. I'd like to ask your thoughts. Some say that long COVID needs to be recognized as a disability. Do you agree that this would help manage it?
I totally agree, because we don't actually think that COVID-19 is something that is going to go off all once. This disease is just with us. And we are talking about new variants coming up. And we have not seen the end of this. Maybe we'll even get to the end of the alphabet of alpha, delta, beta, and all those stuff. So it's going to be with us for some time. And it means that for those people, we have not finished what we call the management of the individual at the time at which the person gets seroconverted and the person gets converted to COVID negative and then he gets home. We need to do follow-up and the rest. Some of these complications and some of those things that comes out in those patients can be kind of life-threatening, can be a form of disability. So for me, I actually strongly believe that it should be labeled as a form of disability, because If we do that and recognize that, then a lot of emphasis will be placed on that, and that can now be brought into part of the clinical management, and then we can actually now advise patients and tell patients that, look, these are the things that you might feel, and you should report back as it is, because we always say health is about management, it's about the total, complete treatment of a patient, not just writing drugs and then the individual go. So this is a disability and is going to be with us, and we should recognize that as
for some time.
Mm.
Just as we wrap up, is there access to follow-up care for those with symptoms of long COVID in Nigeria at the moment?
Yes, there is what we call follow-up mechanism that's been established in some institutions to follow up some of these patients. But you must also, Millicent, you need to recognize the fact that individual patients who have that responsibility to actually call what we call those experts in the line of COVID to let them know that this is how I feel, this is what I feel, and that can now be looked at, and then we can. In the country currently, we, for instance, in our own institution, we sit down to follow up patients and then see how far it's been done. And I can rightly say, in most of those COVID centers, management centers in Abuja, in FCT, there's that follow-up mechanism, which is quite good. And I think this can all be recognized. I sometimes receive phone calls nearly almost about maybe to almost 10 patients in a day that have been treated to tell you one of those symptoms that they do feel and can sometimes be crippling, can actually be crippling in them.
All
yes.
right. We'd like to thank you.
I strongly believe that.
All right. We appreciate your time on the program. Thank you so much, Dr. Yunusa Tahir, an immunovirologist. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here, Millicent. Always a pleasure. And we should thank you for keeping COVID-19 in the front burner. Yes.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.